welcome to How to Be a Great Parent. I'm here to interview my mother, Tammy Acosta. Okay, before you had kids, what kind of parent did you see yourself as? We're waiting.
I didn't. I was only 19 when I became a parent.
Would you say that your predictions were what you expected?
I didn't have many expectations.
How did you come up with your way of authority, and what age were your children when you started putting it to use?
I established my authority right from the beginning. My son was always very well behaved because he knew who was in charge.
The first In your child's early school years, were there any influences, and if so, how did you feel about it? Like, influences as in friends, teachers?
AJ always made friends really easily, and I never had a problem with any of them. His teachers were always really nice to him.
And me?
Matthew was a whole other story.
Alright, I'm special. How would you feel if one of your children suddenly changed their style in behavior and clothes and attitude?
Depends on why they were doing it. If it was a negative thing, I would try to help them get back to where they needed to be so that they were happy and healthy.
Okay. What and how are you going to feel when your children leave for college?
That's a trick question. I will be glad that they are going to do wonderful things with their lives, but I will be sad and I will miss them.
What are your disciplinary strategies like?
I try to talk to my kids in a way that they will understand, and I tend to ground or take things away rather than punish in other ways.
Yeah. Don't like to see you when you're angry. What is the proper way to nurture your child?
The proper way?
Yeah.
I guess that's all a matter of opinion.
And age is probably a factor as well.
Yes, it would depend on how old they are. I think it's important to treat your kids like they are important and like they mean something.
How is communicating with your... You worded that one. What is communicating with your child like?
Depends on the child. It depends on the circumstance. Most of the time, both of my kids will speak to me about important things and will help me help them.
Like, let's say you're talking to AJ and you're kind of angry at him. What would you do?
Depends on what he did to make me angry. I would speak to him, maybe loudly, and get him to correct the behavior that caused the problem in the first place.
Okay. Is your child's maturity what you thought it would be?
Well,
long line of immature. Do you like to know where your child is at all times, who they're with, when they will be home, and how important is this concept to you?
Very important. I always want to know where they are, who they're going to be with. I want to meet the parents of the people that they're going to be with. I want to know and trust who they're going to see.
Do you like to know your children's friends and their parents?
Yes.
What does your child's diet consist of?
As much home-cooked food as possible.
And Oreos.
I try to limit junk food intake
That's very true.
and make things as healthy as possible.
No one listens.
While still letting them have the freedom of being kids.
How do you monitor your children's TV and video game time?
We have passwords on different things, and we monitor the Xbox time and the TV time. There's quiet time for homework, certain times that things aren't allowed to be turned on, and if grades don't stay the way they're supposed to, then things get taken away so that they can't be played and watched.
Do your children respect others as well as their elders?
Yes. Or else.
What else? Do you have a disciplinary plan? If so, what may that be?
There are certain things that both of my boys enjoy doing or having or playing with, and those privileges get suspended when things aren't done the way they're supposed to be done or grades aren't kept.
When do you think the right time is to have the talk?
I think that depends on the kid.
Okay. If AJ is 18 and you haven't had the talk.
Yes, but AJ is not the same as every other 18-year-old. There's special circumstances.
Do your children know the dangers of drugs and alcohol? If so, what is brought upon?
We have talked about drugs and alcohol with both of the kids, and they know our feelings on that.
Yeah.
Not until you're old enough
Yeah.
to make an informed decision on your own.
What are your children's dreams?
My older son would like to be a video game designer, and my younger one would like to work with sharks.
Right. Dangerous.
Hopefully,
How are those dreams important to you?
I hope that they accomplish everything that they want, and I will help them in any way that I can.
How are you as a person, what you want your child to be? Explain how you want your child to be in life.
I take responsibility for my actions, and I work hard for everything that I have, and I want my kids to do the same. I want them to be upstanding people with good manners, who help others and themselves to be better people.
Did you adjust well in your first year of marriage?
Yes.
When you had your first child, was your relationship ready to handle the pressure of a child?
Yes.
How drastically did your social life change after having your first child?
It didn't change that much. My husband and I were friends, and then we were more, and then we were parents, and then we were married, and I've always preferred his company to other people's, and we still have that 20 years later.
So you're antisocial except with Dad.
Yep. We're not antisocial, we just prefer each other's company. Or yours, your brother's.
Where were you physically capable at having a child when you did?
Yes.
How would you feel if you were unable to have kids?
I don't know. I probably would have been sad. I might have adopted. I always wanted to have a couple of kids.
Did you know how much you were committed to when having your child?
Yes.
Were you emotionally ready to have a child?
Yes.
Were you financially stable to have a child when you did?
No. We were both very young, and we worked very hard to get where we were. Lived paycheck to paycheck for a long time.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our interview with you. Have a nice night. I love you. Okay, how to be a parent, how to be a great parent, part 2. Now we're going to sit down with my brother, Anthony Acosta. We're going to discuss in depth how he would feel if his life with his parents or siblings were different. How do you feel having both your parents happily married?
I feel very happy.
How would you feel if your parents had a divorce and you had to split your time with them?
It would be very different change for me because I've always known them to they've always loved each other, and it would be different for me if they didn't love each other anymore.
How would you feel if they were never married and you had to split their time?
Well, it wouldn't feel as different because I would have never known that they looked.
How would you feel if, say, your father died and you were only raised by your mother?
I would be very sad for a long time because my father would have died, and I don't think that, and I don't think that it would be very, I don't,
Easy?
yeah, I don't think it would be very easy thing to handle.
How would you feel with having a step-parent and step-siblings that were younger than you? Well, first of all, I'm sorry, I worded that wrong. How would you feel if you had a step-parent and your step-siblings were younger than you?
And I would probably feel annoyed a lot because, they'd be very young and annoying, and
Yeah, but what if they weren't annoying?
if they weren't annoying, then they'd be cool.
Right? How different would your life be if you were raised by any of your grandparents?
Well, it would be different because I would probably have never really known my actual parents.
Well, thank you. This concludes our session and interviews on how to be a great parent. Now you know how to be a great parent, how to treat your children, how to nurture them, and have a great day. And don't leave your children in stores. It's a bad idea.